Does high drama feel sorry for any of the plays they saw? Alexi K. Campbell's Apologia brings Stockard Channing back to the stage in a domestic drama. In 2009, Barack Obama has just been elected. Kristen is an American in England, and it's her birthday, and she expects the whole family to come celebrate with her. But why should they? Her husband is long dead, and her sons, Peter and Simon, want nothing to do with her, as she always put her political activism above her family. Only Hugh, a fellow political agitating friend, is still sticking by her, which is very difficult, as she is a very prickly character, and her son's girlfriends and fiancés fare no better. Apologia is the title of Kristen's influential art history book. As she explains, the title means a formal written defense of one's opinions or conduct, not to be confused with an apology. Will this sorry excuse of a mother be forgiven by her kids or herself? And the cast is wonderful, with John Tillinger, a director, as playing Hugh, and a couple of newbies, but I don't know. I didn't quite...
At Metropolitan Playhouse, directed by Alex Rowe, is Robert Ardrey's Shadow of Heroes, which was written in 1958 and deals with the 1956 uprising in Hungary against the Soviet control. It goes back into the history from World War II, and the main characters were, at that point, Hungarian patriots resisting the Nazis. One of the main characters, it becomes later a president of the sort of Hungarian state, and it deals with the transition from fighting against the Nazis to being a Soviet satellite state, and where the idealism and patriotism of the resistance movement doesn't sit well with the Soviet bureaucracy. Can idealism survive is really what this is about, and it's incredibly well done. Unlike Brecht's Arturo Ui, it doesn't tend to pretend to have all the answers. It's more questions, and it also has a spiritual side. Like all productions at Metropolitan Playhouse, it's really grand, with great director Alex Rowe getting the best out of his talented young cast. Don't wait another 60 years for a chance to see it.
Hansel Jung's Wild Goose Dreams is the relationship of fathers and daughters told in contrasting stories. Nan-hee has escaped North Korea to South Korea. She has to leave her father behind and does everything in her power, like trying to smuggle a phone to him in order to make sure that he knows that she is all right and that he is all right too. She meets Moon Sing, who is a goose father, which is a South Korean term for people that send their family to America so they have a more desirable life. And poor Min Sung, he does everything he can to connect with his family in America, but they just keep blowing him off. You know, he gets her on Facebook, she blocks him. I mean, you know. The aspect of the story that moved me the most was the surreal quality of Nan-hee's father telling folk tales about the story about these angels and losing their wings and penguins losing their wings, and her hallucinations of the father and him beckoning her back, she thinks. And so she's like has a strong tie to her father, and his appearances of the father were always funny and worrisome. But then for the Min Sung character, it was all done with these stupid, bothering me no end, this technology stuff with beeps and deletes and escape and numbers and repetition, and I hate computer stuff. I don't want to sit down and play. It's bad enough I have to do it in real life. So it would just take away from the wonderful, enchanting story of Nan-hee's character. So I'm giving a happy face to the fairy tale story aspect of it, and a major unhappy face for the computery aspect of it, which I know is important in the telling of Min Sung's story, but it ruined it for me. So altogether, I guess you give it a mixed face plus. So
At the Doxy in Brooklyn is The Making of King Kong, written by Lisa Clare, directed by Eugene Ma. Although it lacks the wonderful giant puppet, The Making of King Kong tells the story of the 1933 adventure film much better than the musical mess on Broadway. Director-adventurer Cooper is a man who enjoys conquests of both beasts and Jewish women with big breasts. His sidekick Ernest is uncomfortable with killing animals and unsuccessful courting women. Fay Wray is an actress capable of playing innocent, terrified, or worldly and knowing. Skull Island here has some surprises. The monkey-worshipping natives have been replaced by a group of white yoga women who keep the large ape in check by pussy power. Yes, there are anachronisms here, but much more of the original spirit survives, and the humor derived from the much more modern perspective adds to the humor and enjoyment of the piece rather than destroying it as on Broadway. Molly Pope, who plays Fay Wray, comes across as an empowered 30s dame. She's a great actress, and the character she plays is a genuinely interesting creation. It goes on, and there's more on Facebook, but this is really much more worth seeing than the Broadway show, which does have a good ape.
Consumption, conceived and developed by Tracy Weller and written by Devin Burnham, who also perform in the play, follows 5 dubious couples intertwined through the pitfalls of love. In Key West, Florida, a couple of high schoolers get together in the creepy mausoleum of the infamous Elena Hoyos and Count Karl von Kossel, talking of SATs and worrying about getting into college and other typical teen angst. He likes to smoke weed and dreams of getting out of Key West. We learn who Elena Hoyos and Karl von Kossel are, and it ain't pretty. Kossel felt that Elena Hoyos was predicted to be the love of his life, so for this he abandoned his wife and children. But there is an untold complication which hinders his pursuit of her, or does it? Can love conquer death? A fortune teller seems to know a lot about this young man with terrible pickup lines and gives him the clue to watch this old television show about a 50s couple who give each other points and demerits for every detail of their lives. Is there any way to conduct a romance? Opposite-sex cop partners are investigating the cold case of Elena Hoyos and Karl von Kossel. In the process, they make better discoveries about each other. This is an immersive show that takes place in the gorgeous Beverly Social Club in Brooklyn. We follow the various couples in and out of rooms and hallways as they quickly change from one to the other with a slight wardrobe or prop addition. The acting of Devin Burnham and Tracy Weller was so clear that I never felt any confusion which couple they were at any given time, except at the end with one scene, because it seemed to contradict the other scene coming up afterwards. But these are minor quibbles, as I just love this. And there's this gorgeous opera singer, too, Emily Reed, that comes into the mix. I found myself rooting for all the couples, except for the surprisingly real story of Elena Hoyos and Count Karl von Kossel. I love theater. You find out the craziest stuff. Really, Wikipedia, Elena Hoyos. You are going to be shocked and disgusted. So this is my 3rd time catching a Mason Holdings show, which always has these mesmerizing dark tales told with spellbinding charm. This gets a major happy face, and you get to go through this neighborhood of Brooklyn with these amazingly mansion houses. I mean, these houses are so huge you think you're going to be eaten by them.
Jan Ewing saw and reviewed the New Light Theater Project production of Yasmina Reza's Life by ×3, translated by Christopher Hampton and directed by Jerry Heyman. And this is a play about 2 couples, one of which comes too early to a dinner party hosted by the other, and it's the same story basically told 3 times with different power dynamics emerging in each telling. Jan liked it a lot. He felt the production is handsome and thought-provoking, the actors brilliantly professional, the ensemble work very high, and right up there with some of the best he's seen, so he gave it a happy face. More on Facebook.
David Arrows' Kennedy's Bobby's Last Crusade follows Bobby Kennedy from first putting his hat into the ring until that fatal decision that brought him head-to-head with Saran in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel. We got a fascinating glimpse into what a grueling presidential campaign is like. We got snippets of his speeches and people's reactions. He wasn't exactly a shoo-in. See the play and you'll get the pun. He was up against Eugene McCarthy, the Bernie Sanders of his day, and the machinations of LBJ, who did his best to frustrate Bobby's chances. His wife Ethel, 11 kids, even his dog Freckles joined him, and then on the campaign trail. This was a portrait of a man who died tragically and could have contributed so much. David Arrow was a dead ringer for Bobby Kennedy, but his accent was a bit too exaggerated at times. It kept reminding me of someone, but I could never figure out whose. I couldn't. I tried so hard. Anyway, this is one history lesson you won't want to miss. Happy Faith.
At the Museum of Jewish Heritage, you could see Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish, presented by National Yiddish Theater Folksbeine, and it's directed by Joel Grey. It's the familiar story of milkman Tevye from Anatevka, who, with his wife Golde, want to marry off their 5 daughters, and hopefully, with the help of Yenta, the matchmaker, get them rich husbands. But the girls are willful and they have their own choices. And it's really the story about how tradition, which is so beloved by Tevye, is being torn asunder by new forces of both love and hate. It's a really great production that makes you rethink something that you thought you knew, and just seems so much more authentic in Yiddish. And this production is just really wonderful. And the performers, Steven Skybell and Jennifer Babiak, are really great. And I'm sure you have a lot to say too.
Yeah,
Eva.
I was going to try to stay behind the camera, but I just had to put my 2 cents in. No, this is brilliant. Joel Grey has his directorial touches. It's like I mean, we've all seen Fiddler a gazillion times. It's like you've never seen it before. And also you're going to be surprised. Like, If I Were a Rich Man is now become If I Were a Rothschild. So it's interesting to see the difference in translations, because it's just
and even tradition. Remember, your friend Bob was saying that it's Torah rather than tradition. So it does seem so much more authentic to the lives of these people.
And of course in Yiddish gives it an added like gravitas. And you've got the wonderful Jackie Hoffman as the Yenta.
Yes.
And you've got, the regular Joanne Bartis, and I mean the cast, everything. And that is why they are moving this to stage 42 on that theater block on 42nd between 9th and 10th Avenue, because it needs a longer run, because this is the definitive Fiddler on the Roof. You'll never see a better one. So this gets like a major, major Happy Face.
Absolutely. We agree.
Yes! Shocking! We should have confetti guns going off. Peter Mills and Kara Reichel's The Hello Girls for the Prospect Theater Company brings to our attention the little known, at least to me, heroism of women who were recruited by General Pershing in World War I to work the switchboard lines. They were known officially as the Signal Corps Female Telephone Operators Unit, but their nickname was the Hello Girls. They had to be a whiz at the switchboard and be fluent in French as well. Out of thousands that applied, only a few hundred made it through the grueling recruitment. Our semi-non-fictional story focuses on 5 of them. Bertha, whose husband had gone overseas and she wants to do her part. Louise, who's from France originally. Helen, an Idaho farm girl. Suzanne and Grace, who are BFF and always wanted to contribute in a meaningful way to the war effort, and now is their chance. Grace becomes the senior operating officer under the grudging leadership of Lieutenant Reiser. They are thwarted at every opportunity to be sent to the front and treated as real soldiers. Will they finally break through the sexist way of thinking at the time? The music advanced the story and kept things lively. The cast not only were able to convey the frustrated emotions of the day and the war, but play musical instruments and dance up a storm. I had a bit of trouble with the projections because they moved around too much, but for other people who aren't as sensitive as I am, they found it great for creating the mood. I absolutely love this, and more people should know about these remarkable women. Really, you know, this was fantastic. And Lottie will give a heck of a lot more on Facebook. Bina and I are here at La Mama to see Zombie Asian Moms, which is created by Kate Riggs and Lyrius Hung on the electric violin. And this is a really funny play about what Asian moms, they're just like Jewish moms, goading their children to be better, and how they do their plastics. And anyway, jump in, Bina. Put that down.
Lots of things are very enjoyable in this piece. It's amazing thing is the most touching piece was the tribute to Eileen, you know, to one of the mothers.
Lyris's mom. Yes, she lost her mom at 11.
It was so touching. It was so touching. And also, you know, Kate Rigg was very funny when she is doing the slumber party. You know, I thought that was my favorite.
There were so many rules.
Yeah.
These poor children. Everything's going to make you die or turn into snakes.
I just couldn't believe that, you know, of course. It's just like, oh my God, that was really good. And then she was very good with the question answers. You know, it seemed like she had prepared the answers, but it's not possible.
Yeah, the audience asked questions.
Exactly, but she was very, very good with that.
And I got mad at her when she called me white. I said, I'm Jewish, I'm not white. Jews and Asians, she knows. Mums are alike.
No, she was very aware of lots of things, you know. But you know, the thing is, my only little criticism is that it was not scary enough. Like zombie, to me, is the very scary thing. So those moms were actually not so very scary, you know? I mean, they were like very...
They're scary to their children.
Yeah, maybe they're scary to the children, but you know,
and
when you
she said the whole thing, like it isn't zombie, it's ghost, because and she's not Chinese.
Yeah, I know, and some of the slides are very, very wonderful. I love the very first one when the Chinese woman, beautiful white clothes, they're dancing, you know, that beautiful thing, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be turned into a documentary,
yes,
they say.
Yeah,
and it's got poetry, music, and comedy.
Yeah. I think she's a very good comedian, but I think the music beside the violinist, I did not really, and the singing was not so great. I mean, not so melodious, I shouldn't say so great, you know? But
all right, Bina's giving it a mix, but I'm giving it pure happy face. This is Jan Ewing's review. Frank McGinnis is someone who'll watch over me, presented at Cherry Lane Theater by Animus Theater Company, is so good I can hardly find the words. It's a man's play about honor, courage, friendship, and love, and I've seen very few of those in the past 6 months. We're trying to redefine ourselves in a very difficult time, and this remarkable puts 3 men in prison, strips their soul bare, and reminds us of common humanity. There are only a limited number of superlatives in English, and I was so moved, so thrilled by the play and the players that nothing seems adequate. I'm not sure why it affected me this way. My understanding is that the Animus Theater Company is using this play to jump forward in the New York theater community. They could not have picked a better playwright or better actress. This is a triumphant beginning. May they break a lot of legs down the road. Happy Face Plus.
Rattlestick Theater is transformed for Lewiston Clarkston, 2 plays by Samuel D. Hunter, directed by Davis McCallum, and it's 2 centuries after the Lewis and Clark expedition, but this is like their great descendants. The first one is a family drama. The grandmother has in the process of selling the land while her granddaughter who's returns and wants it herself, and the guy who's been living with the grandmother sort of is running interference between them. It was moving, it was quite good. The second play was even better, and it deals with a young man who's traveled from Connecticut to follow the Lewis and Clark expedition trail, and he has a debilitating disease that will kill him in a few years. He gets a job at Costco and becomes friends with another worker there who's a very closeted gay guy whose mom is a meth addict. And it's incredibly moving and incredibly well acted. and really you should see it, and that's the best I could do for tonight.
Yeah, and I got to apologize for it being so dark and noisy, but we had to put this in immediately, so right after we saw it, we just had to pop into some place and do these reviews. But it really is, Samuel Hunter is such a good writer, and much more on Facebook. This is Lottie Bollinger's review of Melissa Errico at Sondheim Sublime at Feinstein's 54 Below. Each song is a story. Each song is a new painting, a new moment trapped into air, pausing life as if everything outside the room, outside those couple of minutes had stopped. But overall, it's one big painting that faces us, each song being a dot, as the dot she once played, and they paint an actress in all her versatility, a woman with many sides and a mesmerizing voice. As with every time music started here, time stopped, but ghosts filled her eyes in the room. A painting on her face, a painting in the air, a moment of sublime. And it's what this magical night came to be, a series of moments, a series of hitting pause on the remote, of seeing the air move in front of you as you breathe, as stories come alive, something to remind you of how fleeting each second is while filling them up, of the magic of live arts, for it's only because they end that they have so much impact, like so many moments in life, something scary, terrible, yet beautiful, something sublime. She gives us a major, major happy face. You were at it, that's one thing. You were... Go ahead.
Jan Ewing reviews Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare, presented by Hamlet Isn't Dead, directed by Emily Jackson. It tells of the assassination of Julius Caesar and the aftermath in which the ruling of Rome is up for grabs. He felt that Hamlet Isn't Dead had set itself an admirable goal to make Shakespeare's great art accessible to a wider audience while having as much fun as possible. I believe they've gotten very close to that. It's a gender fluid version, and he felt that some of the casting of women in men's roles, they were not physically able to pull it off, but he still thought it was a really, really good production. Even though it lacked gravitas, he gave it a happy face.
And now for Lottie Bollinger's review of The Tricky Part. And I'm trying to film myself, so this is ridiculous. Anyway, The Tricky Part is a question mark. Author and actor Martin Moron reflects here on his relationship to religion, growing up, his adult life, and how the person he became has been affected by how he was abused from age 12 to 15 in a relationship with a man 20 years his senior. All in all, there is candor in the way the evening goes by, almost a conversation with an audience that is sure to leave the theater shaken in more ways than one and questioning the experiences that made them the person they are today. And she gives this a happy face. And now to put us in the holiday mood, Christmas in Hell is going on right now at the York Theater, and here is an excerpt of a musical excerpt, Somebody Owes Me a Christmas, from Elijah Raymond, and there'll be more on our next show December 22nd, but go see this. It looks like a lot of fun. Sorry for the bad camera work, lighting, and everything else. It's hard to do everything with my left hand. I'm right-handed and I messed up my wrist. Lottie Bollinger was not impressed with the slow-paced Quicksand. Read a review on Facebook to find out why. We'll see The Prisoner. That review will show up on the Facebook page, as will The Emperor's Nightingale. And Teresa Rebig's Downstairs will also show up on the Facebook page. And Winter Rhythms is always incredible cabarets. 7 in 1 Blow is great for kids. Operation Crucible, Great World War II story. What the Country Returns Me is back, and Donna Summer the musical is closing December. A lot of plays are closing December 30th, and we'll talk about them on our next show, but the review might show up on our Facebook page beforehand, so check that out. Sour Grapes, one of my favorite theater company, and they're doing I Love My Wife, which is this hilarious British sex farce. Go check all the cabaret. Matt Doyle, Fine Sense 54 Below. We're seeing that. We'll talk about that. Salon Sanctuaries puts on a good show. And Hotsy Totsy Burlesque. Read Jordan's review on the Facebook page, and they have a documentary coming out. And some holiday parties going on. And I'm running out of time, so I have to go through this quickly. BAM's got some great stuff going on. 92nd Street Y has some great classes on Sondheim and Will Friedwald's Clip Joint. Rose City has Bread and Puppet. Times Square Angel. Nikki in Christmas Land is going out with Mama. And My Name is Gideon is at the Brick, and it's a great lecture on musical instruments, and he's a really good singer and interesting guy. And The Truth About Santa at the Tank is hilarious and irrelevant and crazy and fun. And some plays that close you can find on the Facebook page, and Parody Productions, and Never Too Soon to Talk About Broadway Con happening end of January. These are all the links to go to. Don't forget to pick up your Performing Arts Inside of the Cultural Heartbeat of New York City. Next show is December 22nd. And don't forget, you can see our shows on YouTube, Eva Heinemann, Twitter, 6 Second Review, and Facebook, and Happy Hanukkah!